let's let everybody know about our inspirational journal.
Okay. Yay. Finally getting back to me, my art. All I want to do is art. And the other thing is that I love stories. So like to me, art isn't everything. Your art is your voice, your speaking, your connection. You can feel everyone's energy. That's your art. It's the art of living to me. So art and hustle to me is the art of living and art of it and everything.
I hope that you've cut that piece right there and make it your intro and your outro, because that was dope. She would really benefit from going to the workshop. Like just the conversations that she's having, the things that she thinks about herself. Like she can't see what I see.
Yes, exactly.
I was like, she can't see how powerful she is, right?
Yes.
And I wanted you to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted you to see how worthy you are. Mm-hmm. I wanted you to see what was possible when you were open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like without expectations from other people, but just showing up as your authentic self.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, okay, well, if the opportunity comes up, I'm definitely going to share it with you. And the opportunity presented, and bam.
Yeah, like the 4 things you just said, 2 of them, like you said, powerful, connected, trusting, and open. Those were the 4.
Yeah. And for me, the connection piece was like, you connect to people through your art.
Mm-hmm.
And you believe that you're shy and, and all of that. Yeah. But I don't believe artists are shy. They just express who they are in a different medium. Mm-hmm. Right. And we assume like, oh, well, if somebody doesn't walk into the room and they're not like loud and talking to everyone, that they're shy, but it's just that space isn't the right space for them to truly like show up as their creative selves.
Yeah, like their voice is different. How they express themselves is
right. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
match, but I just think it's funny.
Yeah, I like to coordinate and accessorize, match and watch with everything.
Yeah, it's funny. Like being a fashion designer, I don't do what like you would do, because I think when you're in fashion, you're just so exhausted. You're just like, I'm just wearing black. You're like, I don't have time for any of that. I'm just wearing black.
I'm the way I am because, we talked about bullying before. My sister had tickets to a concert. I wanted to go. She's like, you're not going with me dressed like that. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I didn't know New York was the fashion capital. I just felt like I was being left behind. So I started hanging out with some folks. They took me. I went to my first fashion week. I went to fashion shows, and I thought the fashion shows were not it for me. Mm. But what they told me is like, pay attention to the color, to the colors, how they go. Forget about the style of the clothes. Look at the color scheme. Look at what goes. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand what fits your body type. And so they're talking about accessories, earrings. Mm-hmm. I got my ears pierced when I was 17 and 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And I really, being in New York, I really got into fashion.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, welcome to the after show. I will congratulate you. You probably are the only person I think I did 3 podcasts in one day.
Really?
Yeah, because usually I do like maybe 2 with my professor.
Right.
So congratulations. You are my 3rd podcast for one day all at once.
Marathon. That's what I'm talking about.
It's a marathon. Next one, watch. We're gonna come up with something else again. But like, oh my God, let's do a happy hour edition after this, and we'll bring a drink on.
Right, and have everybody on. You can do a happy hour, bring everybody that you've done podcasts with, and just have a small panel in reference to, because you have a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And, and a lot of folks can relate. I've gone through the chat. Like I started sharing your links to a lot of my friends. Like, check her out. And see what she got going on. Mm-hmm. Because you need a viewership, and folks need to hear these stories.
Yeah.
Because without the likes, the YouTube algorithm is not going to get out there. Folks aren't going to see your videos or not, so got to get your link out there.
Exactly. It's all about getting the links out there. And it's also like everybody that I talk to and having them share it with their family and friends. And that really helps. So anybody who's listening to this, like, help us out, click subscribe, and feel free to just click one of my 20 playlists that I have and just click play all, and then just leave it over there. If you get bored of listening to my voice, just let it play. When you're sleeping, just let your phone play on one of my playlists. Trying to get to 4,000 hours of watch hours, and I think I'm up to maybe 2,300. I think I'm at. So it's February. I think I'll get there.
Well, we need to increase that. We need to get that. So, you send me the links. I already sent out links to some of your previous stuff. So I'm like, look, So what I'm actually doing is I'm waiting for the next live I'm on, and I'm gonna give it to him. I'm gonna give you a link to the moderator and like, hey, you can find me here, but you need to check this person out. She's awesome. And then when we'll do a live, I'll send you the link so you can actually see what goes down.
Yeah, and then I'll type in, be like, hi, it's Linda.
Yeah, because it's YouTube is a community within itself.
Yep.
But one, I want to say thank you. I was looking over your content, and you was real vulnerable with one of those streams, and I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. The last one with Sunrise, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that one was the first time that I said the words I was sexually abused, and that was in December, right before Christmas time, because I'll always alluded to I was abused. I was physically, mentally. It's easier to say physically and mentally as opposed to sexually abused. And Sunrise is the one who gifted me momentum.
Really? Okay.
And I went to high school with her. So we just reconnected during the pandemic, and after 30 years of not speaking. And I told her during this journey with her, I did one with her, and then I was like, oh my God, Sunrise, there's a select few of people who, as soon as I had the first conversation with them, I'm like, we have to do weeklies, because I can just feel the energy of the person and feel the plethora of information that they have to gift out to other people. And so ever since that first one I did with Sunrise, we were doing weekly podcasts. And I told her, I was like, I want to get to the point where I can tell my story and not hysterically bawling and crying.
Right.
So that was one of the first ones I did where I didn't cry.
What high school did you go to?
It's in Long Island, Central Islip High School.
Okay.
In Suffolk County. All right. I can edit it out since I do all of my edits as well.
Yeah. I went to Cardinal Hayes in 149th Street Grand Concourse. So very familiar. One of the things that resonated with me in watching it is how, because I'm very familiar with the Asian culture. I've been to Japan. My daughter studied Mandarin in school. Now, growing up in New York, I had a lot of Chinese friends. And the family structure in the community itself is very rigid, based on tradition and roles. And children, especially daughters, have no voice, no matter how old they are. And I just found it very enlightening that you were able to verbalize, your traumas, when normally, girls of Asian, in the Asian family suffer alone. Mom may understand and know what's going on, but they do not have a voice to be able to, articulate what's going on with them. And I was quite happy that you felt that you was able to do it.
Yeah,
that's how long it takes. Yeah, but very huge.
That's a huge, because I told her, that one coming out was a momentous thing for me, because I lived my entire life hiding it, and saying it finally on her podcast was humongous. And also writing it in my book as well is going to be humongous, because family members don't know. So unless they watch my podcast, they're not going to know.
Are you worried about any repercussions once the family finds out exactly what was done to you? Those who don't know?
Well, once I got to the place where it's kind of like my art, where when I decided that I'm going to be LindaLCheung and I'm gonna put myself out there in social media, but at that point, like I have to be comfortable in my truth that whatever comes, I'm okay with, because this is my truth and I'm gonna sit in it. And if you have a problem with it, I'm sorry you have a problem with it, but this is my truth.
Right. Considering the fact that, everything is starched in honor and embarrassment.
Yeah.
um, You know, do you think that with your experience as a child, the abuse had any impact within your marriage or any relationships?
Hugely, hugely. That impacted every single part of my life, but mostly in the opposite sex, because outwardly, I look like I'm fully put together. Even in school, like nobody would ever know, because how I present myself now is how I presented myself in school. Like,
Right.
like you would never know that there was a problem. So how it surfaces is when the pandemic hits, and then I'm not busy covering it up with work. I'm not busy covering it up with workaholic projects and all that stuff. I'm at home, and I lost my job in March of 2020.
Okay.
So now the source of me being busy and covering it up is no longer there. So ever since March of 2020 is when I started really unpacking all of this. And then eventually my partner, who helped me start, the Artandhustle podcast, um, I thought I was going to do it with him, and he was like, "No, this is yours. I think you should do it alone. I want to work on my own projects, so this is yours. You have to do it alone." And I was like, "No, like I don't want to talk. I don't know how to interview. I don't want to put myself out there. I don't like my voice. I don't like how I'm looking on camera. Like all of it, like sweating and just scared, but really, it really affects my male relationships, because what I grew up thinking was always, I don't trust men. I don't trust them. They're going to cheat on me. And that's the energy I always put out, is that I don't trust men and they're going to cheat on me. So I was in like a self-survival fight or flight mode my entire life. And that showed up obviously in my marriage, and it shows up even more after you have kids, because your hormones are changing after you have kids. And then when you have a girl, because I have one boy, one girl. And then when you have a girl, things start coming up for you, because you're already like healing from having a child. But also like I always had flashbacks all the time. Like every day I would have a flashback. And as she started getting older, I would start to recognize that's the age that the abuse started. Because I would see myself in her, like
Right.
that's probably the age. It's either like 3 or 5 or something like that. The three probably he started grooming.
Do you find yourself being super overprotective, like more or less so of your daughter and displacing it, or just like, hey, I'm gonna keep you out of this situation because I didn't have a voice and nobody looked out for me at that time?
No,
They
no.
did.
I try to parent. I'm probably more looser than my siblings, because I'm a free spirit of artist wise. So I probably should be more strict, but I'm not, as I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. Like I always try to give them what I didn't have. Like I try to give them love and affection. I try to give them hugs. Try to do fun things, and celebrating birthdays and holidays. So I try to do the opposite of what I got and didn't get. Like I would never want to put my hands on my kids. Never.
Right, so you're more or less more lenient, like you pretty much had the hammer on your back or the weight on your back when it came to school and making sure you came home with
Yeah.
a certain grade, because it determined your value in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Less than an A plus, as you say, you were nothing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And then so I never was able to get like A pluses. So I was an artist. Like I was looked down upon, of like, you're never, like my dad said to me, like, you're good thing you have art, because you're never going to amount to anything.
that's
Yeah.
because my daughter, like I was an artist, My youngest daughter is an artist. My oldest daughter is in art. She draws, you know, she's doing film, you know, and I pretty much support my children. Listen, whatever you want to do, you're finding yourself. You want to draw, hit some sketchbooks, some markers, go.
Yeah.
Well, my daughters are talented when it comes to art. You know, I have a picture that my oldest daughter painted for me for my birthday.
Yeah.
And I've never taken it down. It has, it's like a collage of all the anime that I like.
Well, that's the essence of one of the art that I do is collage.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as a divorced mother of two, who's had childhood trauma, how do you find dating now with two kids? Because I'm sure that you're very guarded and bringing somebody else into your circle, knowing what you know and what you've been through.
I mean, that's a great question in general. That's something also that and like sex in general, for like, that's a topic also that I want to talk to other people who are abused, because like, how do you come back from that, you know? And that's been a huge journey on itself, you know, because like when I was divorced, I made sure in the beginning I tried to not have anybody around, you know, unless I was like serious about the person, you know. So technically only one person has been around my kids since I've been divorced, you know. So I try to only put people around that they, you know, somebody that I'm serious with, that, you know, no matter what, like he'll always be part of my life, because he's like a best friend at this point to me. So
and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have, because as we get older, we crave companionship on any level. Because one of the questions I have, since I deal with a lot of women and men who've been sexually assaulted on a daily basis, I've always wondered, how do you pick up the pieces? Because everything is a trigger.
Yes.
And how do you have a healthy relationship with that still lingering? Because you know what your trigger, you'll find out, you go to therapy, find out what your triggers are, but overcoming them, it seems to be the obstacle.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, and that's something I'm still going through right now, you know, is to, like, one of my mantras now is like, so when I told you that one of the things I used to always have over my head was that I didn't trust men, and I think that all men are going to cheat. So when I was going through that mentality, I'm always going to be in survival mode, where I'm not going to give a fuck about anybody else. I'm just going to take care of me. And if I think you're going to cheat, then why would I invest myself in you fully, right? So that was always my mentality. So until I got married, you know, so I think when I got married, I think I fully trust him. But then there were some things that he had done that made me have a red flag, where I was like, that doesn't seem right. But I think I still trusted him. And I still had that old school mentality of like, well, he's my husband, so no matter what, I'm gonna support him, kind of, you know, ride or die kind of feel, you know, because I married you. And so I had that mentality, even though there were a few red flags now that I think about it, that I'm dating the person that I was dating after the marriage. Eventually, we had a really good open communication where we would talk about everything and have conversations more expansive of philosophical and relationships and trauma. So we would have deep conversations about everything that I didn't have growing up with any other male.
Right.
So it was super beneficial to have those conversations with him. So I was able to work through a lot of my traumas and triggers.
You talked about trusting your instincts and trusting the energy of folks. And I'm a firm believer of that. I'm kind of clairvoyant. Sometimes when I meditate, I see things before they happen. I have a photographic memory. So there's a lot of things I see. And then I can see, and just maybe it's in my head, I see things that happen, and normally what happened, maybe I wished it to existence. Who knows? But what I normally do is I know what I will want for me, you know, and every man, worried about, women taking their money, cheating on them with their friends, being taken advantage of, which is a big vulnerability with men. That's why marriage is the marriage rate is dropping, because a lot of men don't want to. They feel like they're losing more getting married than they would if they wouldn't. It's cheaper to have a baby mama and pay child support opposed to supporting an entire family and being the one of the main providers. So I definitely understand what you're saying in reference to the trust. And it's real easy for someone to say, hey, just, work through it. You'll get over it. It's easy to say from the outside, but this is a journey for you. And I believe you have the strength to do it. And a lot of times, we want to manifest that person that can, take our pain away. And the person that we need to take our pain away is the person that we're looking at in the mirror.
Exactly. And that's really the beautiful part of all of its journey that I had with him and the podcast, is that I look at myself now. So instead I was like, you know what? I'm finally got to the point where I no longer am saying I don't trust men and I don't, they're always going to cheat on me. So I stopped saying that. And I realized, it's because of my childhood. I don't feel safe. I didn't set boundaries for myself. So I didn't set those boundaries because I never had boundaries. Right. I never was taught boundaries. They were invaded, violated my entire life. So even in my marriage, I felt like I didn't set those full boundaries either. I would just give everything, whatever my husband needed. If I had a problem, I would let him know, but he would still do whatever he wanted. So I still didn't have like those boundaries of like, oh, I tell like whatever thing we agreed on or whatever we're talking about for the family, I would give my opinion, and then he'd be like, oh, okay, well, all right, let's compromise or do whatever and let's think about it. But then at the end of the day, he would just decide, and he would just surpass whatever I just said.
Right.
So eventually that didn't work for me, because once
taking your voice away.
Yeah, my voice was going away, and eventually, like as my mom died, I realized like, I can't die unhappy. Like I can't keep doing this. Like, her death was my rebirth, where now the voice that she didn't have, right, now I have it. So now I have, so then I got divorced. I started doing art. I started eventually realizing that I have to trust myself and trust my boundaries.
Self-awareness. A lot of times, a lot of folks lack self-awareness. They understand that, this person, I contribute to where we are. You said something before about you not trusting words. I agree. I used to say, actions speak louder than words, but then I actually found something that speaks louder than actions.
Patterns.
Correct.
I saw that you said that somewhere. I was like, yes, patterns, yes. Because right here, I have actions, not words.
See? And that's the thing. We are creatures of habit.
Yes.
And I can tell you, I love you, I'm there for you, but I have a pattern of never being there when you need me the most.
Yeah.
That is what you need to be paying attention to. I can buy you flowers, I can take you on nice trips, I can do all these things. That action, for most people, would think this person is all about me. But I'm never there when it counts.
Yeah.
And I like when I realized my marriage was over, I didn't know or think that I can find love. I didn't want to trust anybody anymore. I figured by diving myself into work and focusing on my children, that was the best for me. Now understanding that that's not going to work. I dealt with anxiety because of my job, and because when I finally left and went to a job that wasn't as high pace and high stress, I was no longer able to compartmentalize the stuff that I was dealing with, and all that stuff rushed forward. Saying, when you were working, when you stopped working, you no longer had new material to push and support the stuff you was going through back. So it came rushing forward. It's kind of like a closet. You can keep throwing your stuff in there, but eventually the door is not going to close correctly and it's going to bust out, and you have to deal with everything that comes out of it.
Yep. And I'm dealing with it all on the podcast.
I see, and I can see it's therapeutic, because each time I watch some of your content, you seem lighter and lighter and lighter.
Yes.
I can still see you have weights on your ankles, but I'm not expecting you to shed everything, because it's a process and you have to learn as you go.
Yep.
You don't want to miss anything, and you are doing good by surrounding yourself about those who are really has an investment in you and your ability to express what you're going through. And I was able to get that from a lot of your content. And I'm proud of you. Just keep it up.
Thank you. I'm so happy. That's why I wanted to jump on this, because there's always like, I love to hear the comments from people, but I also want to see it on a podcast, to record it, because there's a difference of getting the excitement and getting your reaction and getting your reviews right after you watch it, as opposed, because I'll have conversations with people, because we're not doing the Zoom, and they'll just tell me what they think, but I'm getting all of that excitement and what they thought. And I'm like, oh, I really wish we can do it on a Zoom, because it's just you can't match that.
Correct. It's not because I have a saying, and folks always crack on it. I said, look, a smile is worth $1 million. Don't be cheap. You never know who may need a loan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You never know. Smile.
Mhm.
Because your smile can make somebody's day. When I was going through all the stuff with my marriage and my family, folks in my office never knew what I was going through.
Yeah.
Till I went to that training and it came out, and folks, I would have never known you was dealing with all that. Because I was real good in shielding myself and protecting myself, because I have my circle. I run in many circles, but I have my inner circle that knew what was going on, and I felt like I had the support.
Mhm.
But I had to figure it out that I moved forward. Went to therapy, called my parents. Each thing my parents, negative thing, impact they had on my life, I expressed like, look, when you did this bothered me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When my father like, look, when you did this, you created what you created now.
Mhm.
And by working on that, when my marriage was over, it would be real easy for me to be an asshole and cuss my wife out and be that asshole.
And
But
blame her and not,
right.
and then use women or whatever, or just not trust women ever again. Yeah, you can totally go that route.
But you know what? I went that route before, and it didn't make me feel good. It didn't resolve any of the hard feelings that I had. So I figured I'm gonna do something different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna forgive myself. I'm gonna forgive everybody, and I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna be supportive, and it ended up making me feel better. I did not like the situation, but it allowed me to give grace where I normally wouldn't, and not be petty when, in my eyes, I had all the reason in the world to be.
You can just start listing.
Right.
Right.
Kill folks with kindness, because a lot of times you have to wake up and look at yourself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easy for me to be an asshole, cuss you out, and then you look at me like, yeah, that's why we ain't together no more. Opposed to being like, damn, I had something real good. I fucked that up. And even throughout it all, this person still has my back and still living their own life. Because I had to set up boundaries myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's real easy when you're so used to being there and being that protector and, continuing that duties, not understanding that you're no longer in a position to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I was sick a couple of days ago, or actually last weekend, and I was offered soup. Like, nah, I got this. You don't need to do anything out of your way to bring.
Oh, so she offered to give you soup.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. And she brought me over some Gatorade. I said, I appreciate that, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to allow you to. That's my boundary. I'm not going to allow you to do for me, thinking that you're going to use that as a facet to get me to do things for you.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nah. Anything I do now for you has to benefit my child.
The boundaries, so then it makes you, it helps you to like handle the situation, feel better about it.
Mm-hmm. Because when you see what happens is a lot of times folks get caught up.
Yeah.
And you start doing things, and then you start getting false feelings, and then when they don't go the direction that you want, now you have far feelings and you're hurt. You don't trust anybody no more when you create the scenario yourself.
Yeah.
And normally, and the thing is, where you are now, believe it or not, you're in a great position to be able to see the bullshit as it comes towards you.
Yes. That's really where I'm at now, more where, I mean, really the podcasts are super, therapeutic. So each person that I come on, and every time I talk about it, there's always like a shedding of light, or, the weight getting less and less as I do it. But the great thing is also me editing it and having to listen to myself and having to see myself is the part that I think is super therapeutic, is what I eventually want to offer to other people so they can get the same thing that I got out of the podcast, which is podcast therapy of like chatting with people weekly. And then when it edits, you look at yourself on the TV of your 50-inch TV, whatever, and you're sitting there having an out-of-body experience, listening to yourself that you've never listened to yourself ever again. Because someone who's abused, or anybody who's having issues, you're not connected to your mind, body, and spirit. You've killed yourself off, where you're just going through life like a robot. So me doing this made me wake up to like look at myself.
Because you have to look at it. You have to ask yourself, are you living or are you just existing?
Yeah, and I was existing, but I was doing a great job existing, though. I was checking off all the boxes.
Right.
I was great. I was like, good little Asian girl following along, doing all these things, fashion designer, having the kids and all of it, but I wasn't happy.
Right.
you know? So
yeah. At least he was cognizant to see that, I'm just going through the motions and I'm not really happy.
yeah, but to have a divorce, that was the hardest first step to finding myself.
Right.
Because having to say the words, I want a divorce, was super triggering, because like, to me, like, I felt like I was going to unleash violence and fighting. Because like I never had a voice where, because like me talking is a huge thing. I never really had a full voice of being confident in my own voice of talking, even though I was always like assertive to say my points of view, but I still was more observant of things, you know? And saying those words, that was super hard for me, because to me, it was like ride or die, like we're doing this till the end. So for me to initiate a divorce was like, to me, it was like one of the worst things I had to do.
Yeah, because the thing is, like now, they say that 70% of divorce are filed by women. And as a man, hearing that, hearing those words, well, not even hearing the words because I was prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different for a man, it's different if I'm abusive and, I'm out in the streets doing things.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm doing everything right,
yeah,
and you hear those words, it's like, damn, where did I fail at?
Yeah. Well, I think that was probably what he was thinking also.
You know what I'm saying?
He probably was like, well, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing.
No, because women want men that are emotionally available, but the fact of the matter is that men are we're not emotional.
Yeah.
We do everything through the lens of logic.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there for you. And a lot of times we tell women, you do not want an emotional man. An emotional man is a dangerous man. Mm-hmm. These mass shootings are emotional men.
They're a liability.
Right. These crimes, all these shootings, all these people, that's emotion. That is stuff being done out of emotion. So emotions really don't serve a man well. We must be in tune with it. We should be able to mourn the death of our family members and friends. We should be able to cry. We should be able to be vulnerable to our woman and not have it weaponized against us to, when we have an argument, you're bringing up, my trauma and weaponizing it because you're angry and you're in your emotions. So it's a fine line where you have men that are suppressing their emotions because we'll share with our boys. We'll cry in front of our boys. We'll tell our boys our inner thoughts or whatever because we know they can relate. Mm-hmm. But this is what women want. But you can't want this if you're ill-equipped to handle it. Mm-hmm. Especially when you have a vision of what a man's supposed to be: stoic, muscular in his masculinity, take charge, leader, have all the answers, be able to protect, provide, and console. That's who we are, but it seems like there's an attack on that now. Mm-hmm. Do you see, as being a divorced mother, your way of life being attacked by society or viewed differently because you were married, you felt the need to leave your marriage for your own mental health, for your own soul? Have you received any negativity other than those who support you?
Maybe more for, I think I was more worried about like family and what they would think about it. Not with society in general, but I think I was more worried about family and how they would think, and because it's like, you're trying to create this facade, and so I think it was more family, but not with society in general. Like I've had somebody say like mean things of like, no one's gonna want a divorced mother with 2 kids or this and that, but that was just somebody saying it because they're being spiteful. But I don't feel any of that now. Like I'm in such a much better place now than ever in my life, ever.
You have to be secure. See, the thing is, a lot of times, because that used to be the talking point. If you're over 35, divorced with children, you are
like, no one's gonna want you or something. Like
nobody. Well, unless you're looking for a stepfather, you're not looking for a mate, because you're actually entering or bringing somebody else into your home that is a male figure. Even though the children already have a father, you're bringing another male figure in the house who may actually not have the same values and customs as your previous relationship.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, the narrative is, well, why would I, deal with a divorcee with 2 kids when I can get a single woman with none?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, that's definitely like a worry, but not fully where I'm so worried about it. I think I'm so in a place where I'm like very self-sufficient. So I don't really need anybody. I want someone to I want a companion. I want that partnership. So I don't really need it, so which is a great place to be where I'm fully self-sufficient, so it's like at this point, like I realize like, what are you adding to my life?
then that's the question to ask.
You know?
What value would you be bringing? Because really, at the end of the day, with that narrative, they forget that piece. You know what I'm saying? Of it's always a narrative. Well, that man will want more kids. Well, there are a group, and it's anecdotal, and it's the exception, not the rule. But there's a group of men who've had vasectomies, had their children, don't want anymore, and really are just looking for
a companion.
And like it's funny because one of my frat brothers, his now wife was his companion. He was divorced. They were going on trips together. They were cool. They were together a long time before they got married. Because he was like, nah, I'm never going through this again. I'm not going to get married. But then as his children got older and they started spending more time together, the relationship grew beyond what he even imagined. And the thing is, it's like we have to start opening our eyes and think that and see that it's not just a woman issue, it's a man issue. Where you have men out there that are socially awkward, that, that one relationship they were in was it. And that's the only person in their eyes can understand them, and they don't think they can move on. And they become shut in, they commit suicide, they do dumb stuff, momentary stuff for, a momentary decision that's going to affect their body for a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. They become too emotional.
Correct. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that have committed suicide, and it leaves everybody behind asking questions like, what did I miss?
Yeah.
Whether, and a couple of them were going through divorces. It's that narrative that, oh, she's taking my family away. She wants, she's taking all my money. She this, that, and the other. So that's where that trust factor, that lack of trust come in. Whereas, you have to be able to vet what you bring into your life and not be desperate. Because a lot of times there's a difference between being lonely and alone.
Yeah.
Is when you're lonely is when you start making bad decisions.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I had to work through too, of all of these unpacking, where I realized like I didn't originally, like a long time ago, well, it's probably not that long a time ago, but a few years ago, like I didn't like being alone. And I realized like, wow, I'm going to have to sit with this. Like eventually, like it was just so painful to go through all of those emotions because I never had to feel any of this. All of this unpacking, I just covered that shit up and just worked.
Right.
All of it was covered. So me processing and feeling and crying, like I literally spent 2 years mourning my childhood, just crying. Everything would just make me cry. And so that's why, like, finally, when I did that podcast with her is when I stopped, like, hysterically crying. Like I spent 2 years crying about everything. Because like, you're just mourning all of that childhood that you lost.
See, once you get to know yourself and understand who you are as a person, what you went through, understand that what you went through was not your fault. And then you start to get comfortable being alone. Once you're comfortable being alone with yourself, you can never be alone.
Yeah, then you're good. So now I'm getting to the place where now I'm enjoying that silence of being alone. Before I would always have to like figure out how, plans with friends, like, okay, well, this weekend I'm going to be, the kids will be there with their father. What am I going to do? Who am I going to hang out with? Like now, like finally now where I'm like, I'm good. I think I'm fine being alone. Like I'm enjoying it more now. So it's been a beautiful journey and process. And I'm super happy that you took the time out to watch that video. And you can see a little bit of the old ones where you see the transformation just in my energy in general.
The more podcasts you've done, the more you've opened up, the easier they have gotten. And you start really, how should I say? Your life is like a pair of new shoes. And when you first put them on, you weren't used to it. You know like how it felt on your feet, but you knew you had to walk in these shoes more often.
Yeah, you didn't want to put a crease in it. You didn't want to get it
Right.
dirty. Like now when I come on, I'm like, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
good.
now you're threatening them. And
Yeah.
it's like the more you slip them on, the more comfortable you get. And that's you growing and understanding. You know, you're never gonna be perfect.
No, there's no such thing as perfection. So
Right. But we all have to be comfortable and love our imperfections, because that's the uniqueness that we bring
yeah.
to anything we do.
Mhm.
And you have to understand your imperfection is what give you your creativity,
Yeah.
because we are our worst critics. And as an artist, I'm sure you can paint something, take a photo or something, create something, and just dog it, and somebody else will see it like, yo, this is beautiful. You know, I have a friend that is very talented. She's an event planner. I mean, I have her planning my 50th because I love her creative eye, but she is her own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And everybody's enjoying her work, and she's sitting down and pouting because she thinks she could have done better. And I'm like, yo, this is hot.
Yeah.
Take time out to enjoy your work and see what you've done and what you've created. You know, and that's the thing with being an artist. Like, there is no mistakes.
No, exactly. And that's something that I learned, and also tell Sunrise in one of my podcasts where I told her about the crayon story. So I learned early on that I could not get stuck in perfection. And it started with a crayon of coloring, a coloring book that I wanted to be perfect like my sister's, because she would perfectly outline the character first and then fill it in beautifully.
That's what I used to do.
I just kept trying to be like her. And then eventually I realized, like, okay, I can't keep ripping this out. And I didn't even want to color the book after I messed it up. Like, I wanted a whole new coloring book. Like, I didn't even want to touch it anymore. So I kept buying new ones and buying new ones. And then eventually, like, obviously my parents are not going to keep giving me money to buy a new one, you know? So I think I was like, oh my God, like, I have to get over this. I have to get over this OCD and realize that just turn the page. Don't be perfect. It's okay. And move along.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm telling you, I'm saying it again, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Definitely proud of you. You're definitely an inspiration. We definitely got to get your story out to more folks, so folks will understand. It's like, look, everybody dealt with trauma, and you know, it's understanding. You know, that's why I like momentum. You know what I'm saying? Momentum pretty much, you know, gave me the platform to be able to say, like, hey, you know, I'm good enough. I can do this, and I'm not leaning on anybody but myself. You know, this is what and change my vocabulary. You know, I'm planning on doing, I'm doing, you know, and I'm planning on writing a book. I'm planning on doing, no. And that's what it started with my business. I'm like, you know, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and I want it to, it's not going to be perfect.
No.
I want it to be a vessel to, is one, eye-catching. Two, folks will understand exactly what I'm providing and want to be part of it. You know, and live by the example I'm trying to teach others.
Yeah.
And I mean, I looked at some of your fashions, some of your stuff, like, got some talent.
Yeah, like, I know I added the end of it. You saw a little bit of my fashion at school.
Yeah, with the kimonos and everything. I'm like,
yeah, because that's why I added those things, because so then people can get a little glimpse of who I am, you know, because like if you just talk to me on a podcast, like, you're not going to know what I've done. You're not going to know my art that I've done. You're not going to know really much about me unless you watch one of these podcasts.
Or be on your Instagram and watch all the stuff that you've done.
Yeah, exactly. And I have two of them. One is just my art, which is LindaLCheung. And then the other one is the platform, Artandhustle.
Oh.
You know?
See, and you need a third one where it's just your life. Just you.
Yeah. Like the fun and the drinks. Yeah, like I used to have one of those and I lost the password. So to find the password to that.
So I'm really thinking about creating a separate, you know, Instagram for just my food.
Yeah, you should, because that's your passion. And technically you can do I don't know, something else with that as well, that because that makes you happy too.
Yeah, well, bowl, you know, I do my martial arts. I travel. There's a lot of things that I do. So it's all part of it, because definitely I'm creating a page for my business. You know, definitely the networking building, the men's etiquette, how to interview. I'm doing different things to be able to, monetize my skill set.
Yeah, like what are you going to offer in this new consulting business of yours?
Well, one, teach you how to build a network, how to put yourself in a situation to where you meet people and foster these relationships. Because as we talked about earlier, you're dealing with trust. Why should I trust you with my business?
Mhm.
Why should I trust you to be able to, help me build? What are you offering?
Mhm.
So one, I teach stress management. I teach in the state of Georgia. I teach stress management. I teach etiquette. I teach network building, how to communicate with folks, how to build a network, and how to foster it. Where does it start? How do you, as a New Yorker, you always hear the saying, I got a guy.
Mhm.
I'm teaching everybody to get a guy. I'll get a gal.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And be able to call somebody when you need something and them not feeling that you only call them when they need something.
Mhm.
Be able to, set up meetings where you can go out for drinks and just have a conversation to get to know somebody, and do it first in your workplace.
Mhm.
So also men's etiquette. Teach men how to dress,
Mhm.
how to understand, dress your age.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was thinking as I'm looking at you, I'm like, yeah, you have to offer that as well.
But definitely,
Mhm.
because one, how do you interview for a job when you don't know how to dress for the job that you're trying
Yeah.
to do?
Yeah.
I have a pretty good career, and I'm out, and every time I come to work dressed a certain way, folks always saying, "Damn, you dress nice." I said, "Well, I dress for the job, for the career I want, not for the career I have."
Mhm.
Because you never know what opportunities lie around the corner,
Or who are you gonna meet?
right? But you have to be your most authentic self, and who knows? I could be walking down the street like, "Hey, I'm doing this, this, and this. Will you be interested?" Sure, let's go.
Mhm.
And a lot of times women, they talk about the wage gap and how men get, paid more than women doing the same job, when actuality is really different fields that get paid more.
Yeah.
And women are inherently more agreeable at work. They don't fight for raises
Yeah.
or for a high position. So what I
Mhm.
do is I also teach women how to.
Yeah, like we can wrap it up and like I just super appreciative that you watched it and you can see the transformation and also you too. Like when I saw you originally on Momentum, I just saw this huge weight on you. And when Leslie basically was like, stop being, married to your work and whatever he said of being a workaholic. And then you seem so much lighter from that Momentum course that we took.
Yeah, I kind of embraced a different lifestyle. I still work, but not as much. It's more of a work-life balance. Where I always say cooking brings me peace, bowling brings me joy.
Yeah.
My martial arts is just, to me, is a way of life. It's just primarily just to, have my inner peace, bring all three together.
Yeah.
My daughter joins me in bowling. So, she has her own bowling shoes, and she's starting to really enjoy it. She wanted to teach herself how to bowl, have her own style, and she's, I still working through it. So it works out.
That's awesome. That's great. Oh wait, we were talking about your
Oh,
business and the things
right.
that you were wanting to promote with it. So like teaching men how to dress, I think was one of them.
Yep, teaching men how to dress, teaching women how to sell themselves, how to, let their talents and not their figure get them to the table. I also work with YouTube content creators where I sit down and look over their content and teach them how to,
Like me.
like how to, pretty much get themselves out there, how to branch out and get their subscriptions up,
Mhm.
do collabs, introduce them to different other content creators.
Mhm.
They could be, interviewed and do lives, because right now, truth be told, lives are where it is, and that's where your viewership and everything comes from, is from the lives. That's another way you can do it. So primarily they're on StreamYard. They use StreamYard for their live streams.
Mhm.
Send a link, you do your panels, and you can be on someone else's channel speaking about art and hustle.
Mhm. And that's how you gain it also. It's just like
Right.
just networking and getting out there. And that's one of the things I realized, like every new person I can get on here, that's another subscriber because they're going to tell their friends and that's how I'm going to gain it. So that's why I was hustling really, really hard for that year to get to 1,000 because I was like, I'm going to just get as many interviews as I can, reach out to everybody because I was curating art shows. So I met all of these amazing people And then in general, it just expanded because like people that I work with, people, teachers or I feel like everybody has a story. Every story will help and every story will heal.
Yep. And what you have to do is, and what I teach people to is be comfortable talking about their platform. Like, hey, yeah, I'm a content creator. This is what I do. Check me out. Hey, get a business phone. Here's my email address. Here's my business email address. Email me,
Yeah.
and we'll work something out, and I'll get you on. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
It's a lot of ways to do it. I have a lot of folks on here, and when you look at some of the I sent you Nathan's. When I got with Nathan, Nathan was stuck at 6,000. He's at 17,000 now.
Oh my God. And how long was that when it grew to that extent?
From October to now.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's a short period of time.
Yeah.
So you helped him get from 6,000 to 17,000.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because what I did was I sat back and looked at it, like the man has a niche. He has it's entirely his, and he could capitalize on it. And what we do, like the one link I sent you about the domestic violence, the interpartner violence, that the intimate partner violence, that one right there boosted him. And then we've done several other Q&As. We did the one in reference to the officers in Memphis. That boosted him. Doing certain things, you can do live and on different topics that folks want to talk about. And once you start understanding what people want and what people want to hear, you start gearing to it. Yeah. And then you allow folks to, because the reason why the red pill community got so big, or the passport bros, why they got so big, is because they created a narrative and capitalized and monetized off of it. Yeah. When Kevin Samuels passed away, he pretty much, he didn't pass the torch to anybody. So everybody's pretty much grasping at straws. No one has been able to really articulate the way he did or what he was trying to do. Yeah. They thought he was in there trying to bash women, but no, he was pretty much, he bashed men for 2 years. And it was women's turn to like, hey, this is what's going on. And we created with a narrative of look, have a realistic expectation of what you want. You can't want this high, lofty goal if you're legitimately over here at the bottom. And it wasn't about dogging anybody. It was like, if you want this, you have to put yourself in the best position to get it. He promoted marriage and family. His intentions and his delivery may not have been the best, and it was not favorable to folks, but the message itself resonated.
At least I didn't live in was like Manhattan.
Well, the only place I ever lived in New York was the Bronx. My grandparents lived in Manhattan, but from the Bronx. Yeah. But the thing is, there is an avenue for everybody to succeed on this platform. Yeah. Yeah. But I look at it from different eyes, which is why I don't have my own channel, because I don't have the time to edit. I don't have time to put the content that I want, but I do have the time to watch everybody else's stuff, take notes, and have a conversation. And hey.
But that's the problem with you now, is if you're starting your own business, you're gonna have to start a channel.
And that's the plan.
Yeah.
That ain't the plan. That is.
And then when you need someone to edit it, you can pay me to edit it.
You're gonna have to fight battle with my daughter, because she pretty much said the same thing.
Oh, okay. You got to give it to your daughter.
Well, nah, because what I'm learning is that you need to have more than one editor.
You do, because I'm exhausted and I'm the only editor.
All right, because my boy's going through that now. He's actually outsourcing and looking for folks to do his editing for him. So I mean, it's a lot, because you can pump a bunch of content in one day and edit it, and then because he does the premieres, he does the shorts, and then he does the live. Yeah. And this is legitimately his job. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what I want to make this, because I want to be able to do this and then travel. And like when the kids grow up, I want to be able to travel and be able to do a podcast anywhere I am. I want to be on an island somewhere having a drink, cocktail hour, Artandhustle style, and be able to do whatever the hell I want to do, but be able to travel and do this. Like this is what I want to do, and to be able to blow it up. And there really isn't a very outspoken, beautiful Asian girl that can do podcasts like this. So I'm unique.
Yes, you are the unicorn of YouTube.
Exactly. So I'm going to use it to my advantage, because you don't really see that many Asian women who are outspoken and are, I feel like, open-minded like I am.
That you are. And understanding that is where it is, and you've already got the interview prospect concept down, and you're getting comfortable in it and expressing. And I'm telling you, when your next test is to do a live. Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing is I did do, because I was trying that as well. Like I did do a live as I was doing the recording of the podcast, because I like how to edit my podcast the way I like to. And so I did, like, I had the Facebook Live open next to my Zoom here. And so when people would chime in, I would say, oh, so-and-so, you know, is talking right now. They're asking you a question. So Andre, here's a question that so-and-so is asking you. And then so I did do it, but that was in the beginning when I wasn't fully comfortable talking and speaking and interviewing. So it was like way too cumbersome. But now that I'm, you know, more comfortable in my voice, I can definitely do that better now.
Because lives increase your viewership as well.
Well, that'll be the next thing, because I saw other people do lives, but their live was only the live, and I didn't like the way the video looked.
What do you mean only the live?
Like, it was like the resolution was bad. It wasn't like a Zoom live. It was just like a regular Facebook live.
Oh yeah, because they were doing it through their phone. But if you
no, it was through a laptop, but it still didn't look really it was a laptop, but it looked really fuzzy.
I'm gonna tell you, try StreamYard. StreamYard is what everybody's using now. There's two platforms. I forgot the name of the other one that they're using for lives, but StreamYard is
okay.
Yeah, it allows you to have multiple folks. You still have access to your chat. You can go back and forth. You have a private room. You allow who comes up, who goes back.
So it's like another version of Zoom and Facebook Live.
Right.
Okay.
And then it allows you to have your moderators who can, you know, answer questions in the chat, send you messages to say, hey, you have the ability to pin your questions, so you can always go back into it. And then once you become monetized, you'll be able to go back and look at your super chats and your super stickers and different stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you for that great tip. We're gonna have to do that. So I mean, I'm at, what am I at now? 1200. So it is February 17th. So let's see where I go from here.
February 17th. And you said 1200?
I'm like 1200, yeah.
Okay, so the goal is to by May to get you to like 5,000.
5,000 by May. And then get and then the watch hours definitely hit it as well.
Well, the watch hours we're looking at April, end of March, April for your watch hours.
Yeah.
And that's just long term. That's not short term. That's worst case scenario. The object is to get you before that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So trust me, I'm gonna start working on you and start getting you out there.
I'm excited. Like this was the goal, and I'm excited that we've connected through a momentum, and you see my vision and you see my passion and the purpose of it, you know, because it's not just for fun and games of, oh, I want to, you know, do YouTube and monetize. No, there's a purpose and there's a story. And the whole thing is to eventually help women, because I feel like really doing these podcasts with women, helping them see themselves, like they never really fully see themselves, just like I never really saw myself until I was doing these podcasts and conversations, and then starting to like my voice, starting to see myself and be comfortable in my own skin. And really, you know, to see yourself on TV is like a whole nother experience. So like I offered that to Tam, is the one I sent you. So we've done 7 weeks of that. Every week that we come on, every week she has some sort of revelation, epiphany, and week 7 is where she finally like came to a point where she's like, how are you doing? And she's like, I am fabulous. And I'm like, oh my God, it's great. It's great.
So my goal for you is to start getting you on, you still do your thing, because when you're on other people's channels, what they do is they'll put the link up to your channel in the chat. So my goal is to get you on a couple of lives, so you can, get on some panels, so they, you can answer questions and do your input, because you have a lot of insight on different things.
Yeah.
How should I say? I may put you on some of the red pill area or semi pill area to pretty much steal some folks, because it gives you something different.
Yeah, I'm down for it. I am open, and like now that I'm comfortable in my own skin and comfortable in my voice, and to spread the knowledge of what my purpose of this podcast is, like I want to hear everybody's story. I feel like everybody has a story, to help and heal and give out tips and tricks to everybody. It's the art of living. So I see art in everything.
All right. Let me start working on this for you. And I'll
All
keep
right. I'm
going.
excited. I'm excited. So we're just going to help each other out. We're going to grow everything, grow your business, grow my business. And we're just going to go all the way up.
Definitely.
Right.
All right.
But thank you so much and have a great weekend.
You too as well. Be safe.
But yeah, we're ready. So 30 minutes. I don't do longer than 30 minutes. I'll ask a lot of questions, but it's similar to ours. It'll be a back and forth, but I'm really listening for, just what your journey is, right?
Okay.
And share about whatever you want. At the end, I will, ask you to share how people can connect with you. And in the very beginning, I like you to introduce yourself because I think
okay. I know. I was like, oh my God, let me watch some of her podcasts so I can
you just really, how do you want people to know you, right? How do you want to introduce yourself? And
yeah, I know. I was like thinking about it and I was writing it down, but then I was getting nervous and I'm like, oh my God, I can't think about this too much.
No, you can't, right? So the dope is divine, on point, prosperous, and evolving. So just the questions will kind of form around those 4 concepts.
Yep.
And just be your authentic self, right? Just,
I can only be me and not the avatar anymore. So
yeah, like prosperity, right? To me, what's amazing, your journey is how you went from like, the work that you were doing, you were like, screw it, I'm gonna just do this Airbnb. Like that, to me, that would free somebody who's just so trapped in what they believe prosperity looks like and has to look like.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna get nervous and get stuck. So feel free to like throw things in that you know about me, because I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
Tables are turned.
The tables are turned.
Tables are turned.
And then at the end, we can talk about our journals. Hey, what's up, good people? It's your girl, Doc Sunny, and this is another episode of A Dope Chick's Spiritual Journey. I have a great guest. Some of you may have seen her face before alongside my face recently, because this is my girl from high school. Yes, I said it. Look at our faces. Look how young we look. Don't try to figure out when we graduated. But we went to high school together, and we reconnected. And I'm so happy to have her because her journey is, I don't even think 30 minutes is really enough to talk about her amazing journey. But you know what I do. I like my guests to introduce themselves. So, Linda, tell the good people who you are.
I am LindaLCheung. I am kind of a jack of all trades. I do a little bit of fashion design, graphic design. I'm a multimedia artist. I'm a single mom of 2 kids, divorced, and I'm, the founder and owner of Artandhustle. And I've curated some art shows. Now I've gone into the podcasting world where I want to talk about the art of living. And I feel like every story will help and every story will heal. And that's how me and Sunrise got connected, where I saw you on Facebook and I was like, I love your energy. And, if you would be so kind to join me on my podcast. And this is how it's all evolved now. Now we do our weekly inspiring conversations. So I'm so happy to be here with you today.
I know, we're like cross-pollinating. Yay!
Yep. I mean, I love it because you have written your book and I was doing the podcast. And so since we connected, I was like, Sunrise, you got to do your podcast. I'm like, just do it. Just jump in. Right?
Yes. So for those who don't know, yes, I had this idea and it was stewing, and I may have recorded one thing during the pandemic. And then when I connected with Linda was like, just do it. Those are her exact words. She was like, just do it. She said, stop thinking about it. Stop overthinking it. She said, just press record and just do it. And so that first episode that everyone loves with Tenora from season 1, that would have never happened had it not been for my girl, Linda. So I'm so glad that she is on my side of the podcast to share her journey, mainly because everyone knows I do this show because I want people to feel comfortable in their relationship with a higher power. For me, I call it God, whoever and whomever you are, I want people to feel connected to something bigger. And so I love having these conversations with people with different journeys. So I'll start with my first question, which I love to ask my guests, Linda. When you hear the word divinity or divine, what comes to mind for you?
I want to feel like it's hope and it's purpose and it's spirituality. So I've always said, like, I never really wanted to call it just one name, because I feel like all religion should be all encompassing. So whatever you want to call it, whatever someone believes in, Buddhism or whatever, I feel like we're all trying to obtain the same thing, where we're all feeling, where we want to be in touch with something, a spirituality, a divine, your gut instinct, so your intuition, whatever it is. I feel like that's what divinity is. It's all of us. It's all encompassing. So I feel like it's a little bit of everything. And it's also like our purpose and of our authenticity. So if we can all be more authentic with our purpose and our intentions, and to be in a space of who we are, mind, body, and soul, if we can be connected, then we'll be able to be more authentic, sit here with you, and to be who we are. So then there's less conflict around in the world, know?
When were you, so I know your childhood. I know, a lot of your upbringing. Do you ever recall at an early age being connected to something higher than yourself? And if so, what was it?
I feel like when I was younger, I always had this like innate hope. I always knew that there was something better for me. So with my upbringing, like, it was very traumatic. I grew up in a very abusive, mentally, physically, sexually abusive home, where there was like, it's very militant. It was like a prison. And it happened, it was like majority of my childhood, from age 5 to like sophomore in high school, like that constant abuse was always there. So, but I always knew that there was hope. So I just grasped onto that. So I just knew that there was something out there that was better for me, and there was definitely a different purpose for me, because I'm so thankful still to this day, where technically my dad tried to kill me at age like 5 years old, so there's a purpose for me to be here. And I feel like my purpose is now more to talk on these podcasts and to tell my story, so someone else who's listening to it and who knew me in high school would never have known that, oh my God, Linda went through such a traumatic childhood with all that abuse, and she came to school and just put a mask on and put this avatar on. Nobody would know that I was going through all of that stuff. So I want to be able to tell my story so other people would hear it and be like, well, if she can go through all of that, then I can go through whatever struggles I'm going through as well.
I always get chills when I hear something. I'm sure my listeners and viewers are like, their mouths are wide open, like, what did she say? Like, how, oh my God, I know how, but like, what was the journey for you from 5 to now where you are, to be able to open your mouth? Oh my God. And talk the way that you're talking now.
Well, that's perfect that we're saying this, because when we had just started talking about, I don't know when we started talking, but one of the main things that I wanted to do is to stop crying when I would talk about my story. So the fact that I can be on here with you and tell my story and not just burst into tears is a huge accomplishment for me. And also, everybody needs to know, I'm not a talker. I'm very shy. I'm very introverted, and I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to interview people. So the fact that I started a podcast to put myself on camera, to be exposed, and to do my art and put that on social media to be exposed is a huge thing, because you're putting your soul out there. Each piece of artwork that I do is like my soul and my spirits and my feelings, all of it on your canvas that I make and do and give to people. So, you're putting yourself all out there. So for me to be here today to tell you my story, and eventually, Sunrise is going to help me, write my book too, great, is a huge accomplishment, because I was so shy in high school and so shy to even talk about my story, because it's a really hard story to tell. And it's, it's something that needs to be put out there, just so I could have my healing and I could help heal somebody else, that somebody would hear it and be able to, you know, get through what they're going through. But from age 5 to now, like, you kind of, I had to disconnect my mind and my body. For me to get through my life, I had to disconnect my mind and my body. And I only woke up from that when my mom passed away in 2013.
So before you talk about your mom passing away, when you say you disconnected your mind from your body, like, what does that mean? Like,
I had to kill myself off.
Your feelings, your emotions, you mean?
Yeah. My feelings, my emotions. And yeah, you have to disconnect, because if you're going through physical, sexual abuse, you're literally killing yourself off, so you can like not
make,
like,
not create something up here that's attached to what's going here.
You kind of, I think you kind of black out, you know, like if you're going through a traumatic, like life or death or accident or something like that, when you're going through something so traumatic where you almost die, like people don't remember that. So you literally just black out. So like my memory from childhood is so, I have bad memory. I've blocked out so much stuff that I literally, my mind to help save me, blocked out a lot of it.
So I cut you off, so I'm sorry, but I wanted, I'm sure listeners were like, what does she mean by that? So for all that time, you kind of disconnected your mind from your body, and then you said your mom passed away.
Yeah, so like I had to create this mask, you know, from childhood to high school and throughout my entire life. So even though my house was so militant in a prison, they still were forcing, like, it was an immigrant family, so everyone had to get straight A pluses. So if you didn't get straight A pluses, you weren't really accepted in your family. So you had to assimilate and, you know, be like
an academic, like a scholar,
do all of that, and you have to assimilate to, you know, the American dream, and be, you know, in the community and all of that. So it's it was really difficult to be able to juggle all those different faces and facades.
You know, Linda, you have this amazing gift and quality about you that absolutely nothing gets you down. And I think that you're showing your kids and showing everybody who knows you just that, like, no matter what's thrown at you, you figure it out and you make it work, and, you know, you just keep going and you can be successful and do whatever you need to do. And, you know, you thrive. You absolutely thrive.
I like connecting with people, and I like helping people, you know?
You do. You always have. You always have. And you just have that special touch where, I'm telling you, it's like you make people whole sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, you have a light. You have a light inside you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's true. And you don't, the thing that's great about you is that you don't stop yourself from giving it, you know? And that's awesome. And you can see it in your art.
That's awesome. That's the painting in the background.
Yeah.
That's a LindaLCheung original.
There's a LindaLCheung original, yeah.
Mine too. It's a LindaLCheung.
Oh my God. Really? Oh my God. Look, there I am. I'm
That's
coming
yours,
out.
right?
Yep, that's mine.
Oh my God.
That's epic.
Look at that skirt.
Too.
Yeah, I made all of it from scratch. Everything's made from scratch right here.
No, that's incredible.
Everything is made from scratch.
It looks like one of your paintings come to life.
Right?
I know, right? Full circle.
Yeah, full circle. All of this is ironic. I do all of this still now with my paintings.
And you did all the detail work too. That also.
Yeah, so I painted it, added glitter. I made the mask for her.
See, that's what put you over the edge. You did all that extra work.
Yeah, I know I won because I had to transform. So here's the thing, I was asking you to explain muslin, because this was made out of muslin.
Ah.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
Oh, well, let me tell you, Anthony, like when they made my garment, they printed my garment the wrong color. So they printed it basically like my hat, all greens and camos. But my theme was a golden Buddha.
Yeah.
So my fabric was green.
Oh, no.
So this was our, I think, spring break or some break we had, and they had to reprint it for me. But here's the problem. They ran out of velvet.
Oh no! So they had to do muslin for you.
So they had no more velvet for me. So they had to print it in muslin. Muslin and muslin?
Muslin.
Yeah.
Muslin,
So they
yeah.
printed in muslin. And I'm looking at these people like, what do you want me to do with this muslin? Everyone has beautiful, soft velvet that looks so luxurious in these
Yeah, you got
garments.
fucking muslin.
And I have muslin. And I'm looking at this like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this shit? And
Leave it to
You made
Linda
it-
to work
You made
magic.
it look like gold.
so I had to fucking paint it, add glitters, add whatever, and I made it look more luxuriously than it did. So that's why I won, because I transformed this fucking piece of paper.
Yeah, like crap fabric.
It's
into-
literally crap fabric paper to look like this that's coming up right now.
Let's do it one more time.
And then I added batting. I added
It looks amazing, Linda.
so I had to make it look like velvet. So I had to I added batting to it. So you can't really tell, right? So Anthony, you didn't know.
Oh, it looks fantastic. No, I had no idea.
See, there we go. See, I learned something new today. You learned something new. So yeah, this is muslin
That is
with,
gorgeous.
with
That
batting.
is sick.
With batting, and I wanted you to look at the kimono and not her. So that's why I made the black mask on her, because I wanted you only to
Fantastic.
see. I wanted you only to see the kimono.
And look, years later in your paintings doing similar work.
Yeah, that's kind of funny and ironic that I'm doing tons of like Buddhas and Zen.
That was like a showstopper, though. Honestly, your piece,
yeah.
it seriously took everything away. Like it was like everything is amazing, but that was like a showstopper.
Anthony, look at you.
Oh yeah, she was a tough broad.
She was so tough. There I am, my little ball gown.
Oh my god, baby Linda.
Yeah. And then just to make it to be clear, we went out for a whole week, not one day. But we didn't talk to each other the whole week. You know what I mean? Once you accepted the letter,
Yeah.
we were both so shy and we didn't really, we were so young, but we would walk together. And then I think, after like a few walks, you were like, let's just be friends. And we've been friends ever since though.
Oh
Like
my God.
you were never mean to me.
Yeah.
You didn't dump me like, you didn't scar me or anything like that. So I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. See, I
Yeah.
love that you're clarifying this because I do remember the note. So
It was a good week. It was 1 week because I remember everyone else, everyone got in the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
became a whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why you didn't like it. That's why you got
Why?
embarrassed because
Oh.
the girls were all like, oh, and then the boys
yeah.
were like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then it was too much. It was
Yeah, I
like,
Mhm.
like with actors and the, what do they call
Paparazzi.
them?
Paparazzi.
It was too much.
We had too much paparazzi. It was too much
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah.
I couldn't
Too much
handle
pressure.
it.
When I used to travel all over the world and I was doing all of that good stuff, I would run into people like, no, we're on holiday now. And it's
Yeah.
mandatory.
Yeah,
We're
like-
not allowed to keep working.
Yeah, right. Like you're not allowed to text me
What?
about work. You're not allowed to talk to me about work. I think I saw that on TV, but I didn't know if that was real.
Man, unbelievable when I started to see these things in action in real life. And then I
Wow.
would look back at my experience here and like,
Mhm.
these guys
Yeah.
they're killing us.
Too much.
And it's that old rat race adage, right?
Yeah.
Even if you win that race, you're still a goddamn rat.
You still lose.
How is that good for you?
No, you still lose.
We must redefine how we engage this space, how we're going to operate in this space. And that's the whole idea of dismantling things and then only building back up the things that are honest and true to you
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the world you live in, and now continue forward. Leave all the other stuff that you were given, all of
One woman show, like I'm hosting it, I'm editing it, I'm
A lot of work.
promoting it, I'm social media, I'm kind of like all of it.
No, yeah. That's why my wife last night, I said, listen, you need to subscribe too. I just subscribed. You got to subscribe, the algorithm. I told her the whole spiel,
Yeah. Like you gotta, so let's
gotta do
remind
it. You gotta
everybody,
represent.
whoever's watching this, if they can help us, click subscribe, like, share, comment, share with
Yes.
your friends, your families, because it really helps my algorithm.
I hope that you've cut that piece right there and make it your intro and your outro because that was dope.
all of us. We all have the ability to find our own happy in our own lives, in our own space,
Yeah.
but it's never quite enough.
Mhm.
And nothing is like giving and helping others. There's no feeling like that in the entire world.
Yeah.
When you change someone else's life, when you have the ability to give to them, and just the smiles and the relief, sometimes the tears of joy, right? Just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So when we have the ability to live our life and find happiness in our own life, and then share that with someone else or help someone else reach their happy point, just a beautiful space to occupy.
Yeah, I totally agree. And welcome to my first ever podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm so honored to be the first one. I took a job that allowed me to stay home, and it was a home job, and I was selling motivational speakers.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
I did that for 6 years.
Wow.
Don't do that. Don't go against what you know you love to do. I learned that, and I don't regret it, but I know that I can confidently tell artists if what speaks to you is to create and make stuff, don't give up on it for 1 second. Like,
So do you think you lost part of yourself in those 6 years?
100%, like 100%. I've been working my way back ever since.
Ever since then, yeah.
I wanted to explore, and so now I can confidently say, like, it did happen for a reason, and I have gained some sureness. Is that a word? I don't know.
Like, sure. We're artists. We can make up any word we want.
So I'm 100% sure now that I need, from my soul, you need
art, you need to be creative, you need to be into fashion or whatever it is, right? It's part of your soul.
Yeah, I need it to live. I need it to breathe. And if I can't create what I enjoy, then everything else falls apart, because I can't be my best self. So